Zenless Zone Zero is evolving, and its most glorious evolution yet is the 1.4 patch. And with it comes a specific endgame mode that is tailor-made for the endgame enthusiasts such as myself. Forget everything you thought you knew about the endgame in Zenless Zone Zero and say hello to the Deadly Assault. A new endgame mode that will really challenge your knowledge about the game and really test your combat prowess and your ability to adapt to the stage at hand. Hello friends, my name is Hako and I want to welcome you into the channel. Patch 1.4 is soon upon us, and it is with a great honor that I have the opportunity to give you a little bit of a glimpse, a little bit of a deep dive in one of 1.4's coolest features. Now, 1.4 is absolutely packed with amazing stuff, but one of my personal favorite is the new endgame mode that we're getting. So all of this footage that you're about to see are recorded from my personal testing on the creator beta servers. So everything is prone to change. You just need to put that out there. Alright, so let's head on over to the terminal. This new little briefcase, this new little computer over here, next to Benji. Meet the Deadly Assault, the newest endgame mode in Zenless Zone Zero, or one of the newest ones, because we're actually getting several in the 1.4. Alright, players, welcome into your new endgame mode, Deadly Assault. This is a boss rush type deal that's going to be rotating bi-weekly, and with each rotation it's going to bring with you 3 challenging bosses. These bosses are all going to have like their separate strategy in order to beat them, and it's honestly really fun. And one of the really unique things about it is that any agent you use on boss 1, you can't use on any subsequent boss. So I'm not gonna show you the first stage or the first boss, because that's a completely new boss, and I kind of want to experience it for yourself. I don't want to ruin anything about it for you. So, but for the boss, I used Miyabi, Yanagi, and Rina, and Agent Gulliver. That means all of those characters are now locked for boss 2 and 3, even the Bangbu. So this game mode really incentivizes you to have different teams built out, have a wide roster built out in order to handle any sort of challenge that the Assault might throw at you. But we can take a look at the second stage, which is the corrupted Overlord Pompey, and this is a cool boss fight. So the devs have been saying for a long time that they kind of want to, branch out in the way that we S-rank and clear content, and not only the critical Shield approach, but it's all about just reaching a certain time threshold and having no dead agents. And now instead in the Deadly Assault it's gonna work a lot differently. Instead here we accumulate points, and every boss and every stage is gonna have separate objectives in order to gain extra points, and every boss is also going to come with their own affixes. So Pompey, for example, he goes berserk. Every 10 seconds he gets 20% more damage, stacks up to 3 times. So Pompey that hits for 60% more, that's a hard hitting bastard. He almost one-shotted my Piper. But there is a way to counteract this. When we inflict him with attribute anomalies like Assault, Freeze, Shatter, we remove 1 stack of Berserk and increases his damage taken by 50% for 20 seconds. So yeah, this is an anomaly stage. And every stage also has its own separate little objective where you can earn extra points. And for some of these you can kind of brute force them, but for a lot of them you really need to play into how do you get the extra points, because if you don't get extra you're not gonna reach the threshold, which right now is sitting at 20,000. So for him, successfully inflicting attribute anomaly on enemies grants 150 performance points up to 5,000. And we have 3 minutes to beat him. So this tells us that we need to inflict a lot of attribute anomaly in order to get as much score as possible. So I chose to go with Jane, Caesar, and Bernice for this one, to have as much attribute anomalies inflicted as possible, and for the Bangbu we picked Red Moccus. So this new endgame mode is kind of similar to the Apocalyptic Shadow from Honkai Star Rail, so any Star Rail players will kind of feel at home. With this, there's a lot of transfer of knowledge from that one. All of the teams gets to pick 1 out of 3 buffs, and these buffs benefits different teams. The first one, Spirit Break. Increases agent anomaly build-up rate by 30% and disorder damage by 40%. So if you're running a Miyabi and Yanagi team, for example, like this is gonna be, you know, the most bang for the buck, or the most bang for the buck. And now the middle one, agent attack increases by 20%, decibel rate gain increases by 20%. Upon launching an ultimate, agent attack increases by an additional 50%. So like this one is a little bit more like ultimate focused. And remember, in 1.4, we are gonna be able to have every character is gonna get their own individual decibels. So there's a lot more ultimating that's gonna be happening in 1.4. So like picking this, like it is a much bigger value in 1.4 than it would have been previous to it. There's more ultimates to go around. And then you have the last one, interrupt, basic attack, dodge counter, EX special attack, and dash attack damage increases by 30%. After triggering a perfect dodge or perfect assist, increases all squad members' attack by 10%. So 3 different buffs, kind of tailored to like 3 different kinds of teams and like 3 different kinds of playstyles. So like, you know, pick the buff that, you know, goes the best with your team. An Ellen team, for example, you know, might very much benefit off the middle one, because Ellen's ultimate hits like a freaking truck. Meanwhile, if you have like more than 1 damage dealer on the team and like just want a flat increase to basically everything, the interrupt one might be the way to go. Or if you're running a very anomaly heavily loaded team, Spirit Break, the one to the left, you know, is gonna be your best option. Now, all of these bosses also come with their weakness and the resistance. So Pompey, as we know from the Notorious Hunts, he is weak to fire and resistance to electric. Now let's have a little bit of a look at the last one. Notorious Marionette, weak to ice, weak to ether. And this is the dancer, but like with a twist. So this one is actually very, very interesting, and I really enjoyed fighting it. And this one, in the details, damage dealt by boss enemies increased by 25%. When the double is destroyed or when the main body is stunned, they gain 1 and 5 stacks of on thin ice respectively. Each stack of on thin ice increases the ice damage and electric damage taken by 10%. On thin ice stacks will be reset when the enemy recovers from stun. So the game is telling us, you know, bring stun agents into this. So I brought 2 of them. I brought Lighter and Lycon into this. And successfully destroying a dancer's clone grants 200 performance points up to 5,000 points. So, like, we will be fighting 1 marionette, and I can kind of, you know, call in an additional shadow clone, like an additional dancer that you're incentivized to kind of take care of. And destroying this clone is the way you get extra points into this one. So, as you can see, this is a very, very, like, exciting way to kind of make an endgame content. It's not about just, you know, burning through it with your hardest hitters. It's actually like think a little bit, okay, like what do I need to do on this stage? And for example here, any sort of AoE attack, you know, might be incentivized because that can take care of the clone. They're incentivizing stunning enemies, like bringing a stun agent might be, you know, very, very goddamn smart. And obviously this is this rotation, we're gonna get more rotation, there's gonna be different bosses, different affixes. And I think that this is such a like clever way to like also teach people about, you know, about the mechanics of the game. Like there are certain characters in this game kind of strong enough to like brute force through anything in the game and not really have to like worry much about mechanic. But now they're finally giving us an endgame mode that, like, you know, takes a look at certain things in the very complex and, like, very amazing combat that is Zenless Zone Zero. And, like, you know, incentivizes certain part of it and, like, really makes you focus on those parts. For example, a stage that, you know, will incentivize quick assists by a lot, you know, are gonna make people quick assist a lot more, same with like dodge counters and whatnot. And this is an endgame mode you're gonna have to like use your brain a little bit, and you're not really gonna be able to brute force your way through it. And I think at the end of the day, this is gonna make a lot of people like a lot more like efficient and a lot more skilled at the combat. And the complex combat of Zenless Zone Zero becomes a lot more fun, it becomes a lot better in general. The more about it that you understand, the more about it you grasp. And I do think that this new endgame mode is gonna help people grasp the combat more in its entirety. So I welcome it, and like I can't wait to see what like different affixes they're gonna be cooking up for us. So that was a brief look at like all of the bosses and statuses like that are on this cycle. I have the unique little opportunity to look ahead in time and look into what is potentially the cycle after that, should we have a little bit of a check. So if we look at this one, Autonomous Assault Unit Typhoon Destroyer. This was the hardest one for me. I barely managed to get about 20,000. So Agent inflicts overwhelm when landing a defensive assist hit. Defensive assist is when you switch out to another character when the enemy flashes yellow and he's about to smack you in the face. And 3 stacks of overwhelm, accumulating 3 defensive assist hits and triggering impaired. Each stack of overwhelm increases daze by 50% and chain attack and ultimate damage taken while stunned by 10%. The enemy will fix the impaired parts and reset the impairment level while charging, and will reset its overwhelm stacks after recovering from stun. And the way we get extra points for this is successfully impairing an enemy, grows up to 600 performance points, up to a maximum of 5,000. Weakness electric and enemy resistance fire. So I choose to take Harumasa with me on this one, and he is so much goddamn fun to use. And here we can also see that not only does the bosses and like the way we accumulate extra points switch with each cycle, so does also the buffs. Now here instead we have Graceful Mastery, Quick Resolve and Overthrow. So 2 different ones from what we had previous. Graceful Mastery increases agents' normal build-up rate by 25% and anomaly proficiency by 40%. When an enemy suffers an attribute anomaly, agents recover 500 additional decibels, and attack increases by 30% for 15 seconds. The decibel recovery effect can trigger once every 15 seconds. Now 500 extra decibel, whenever we trigger an attribute anomaly, absolutely massive. And the one to the right increases agent daze by 25% and chain attack damage by 80%. So people have been saying like, oh, when anything like when a character comes to like really wants chain attacks, Khalida is gonna rise in stonks, and here is Khalida's stonks. You smack Khalida on top of this like chain attack damage, you're gonna get a big payout. And also, when a chain attack is triggered, the agent recovers 20 energy and damage increased by 50% for 20 seconds. These buffs completely, they completely change the playing field. And this is also what's gonna like keep a lot of our characters, relevant for a long time. A lot of people might be, looking at their Ellen now that Mayab is coming and be like, I don't need you anymore, but let's have a little bit of a check. This newest boss, weak to ice, resistant to physical. And also we have the Dead End Butcher at the end of this cycle. Weak to ice, non-resistance, but we have 2 enemies weak to ice. There's 2 ice carriers in the game now. And there is gonna be with the 1.4, and one of them is gonna be Ellen, so I picked Ellen for running with the Dead End Butcher. And this is the genius of these kind of like game modes that incentivizes having like a lot of different characters built, like because our characters aren't gonna be like, they aren't gonna end up really redundant, because there's gonna be content like this that makes them shine again. And while we're at the Dead End Butcher, let's look at what this Dead End Butcher does. When not in a stun state, the boss enemy gains 1 stack of Risky Gamble every 6 seconds, stacking up to 3 stacks. So fully stacked after 18 seconds. Each stack of Risky Gamble increases damage dealt by the boss enemy by 10% and crit damage taken by 25%. Risky Gamble stacks will be reset when recovering from stun. So it is a Risky Gamble. He will deal more damage, but we will like do more crits on him. And the way we gain extra decibels on this is successfully triggering Perfect Dodge, grants 150 performance points, up to 5,000 points. So Perfect Dodge are incentivized. And a Perfect Dodge is when you do the right click if you're playing on a mouse at just the right second, like this, at the same timing you would have switched into another character if you want to do a defensive assist. And this is why these game modes are so fun. Here we have Perfect Dodge, which, Jane is really good at this one. Maybe you don't have a super stacked Ellen, or you don't even have a second ice team. So maybe slapping Jane on here, even though physical isn't incentivized, will, be your way to victory, because she can perform so many freaking perfect dodges. you know, so easily. And with the Typhoon Destroyer, the name of the game on this one is very much defensive assist. So I promise you, after you bashed your head against this one for a little bit, you will be better with this defensive assist. And yeah, like, you will feel that own personal growth when it comes to the combat. And due to the ever-changing nature of this mode, there isn't like really a character you can say like, oh, you know, this is the best character for this mode, because it is so much gonna be dependent on what the weakness is, what the resistance is, like what is it requiring you to do. Like, this one is pretty simple. We just need to do enough damage while the enemy is chanting, and you know, bada bing, bada boom, a lot of people can't fill that role. For the second one, for example, where defensive assists are, you know, incentivized, characters with an extra strong defensive assist, like Seth or Caesar, are gonna be incentivized. So, like, if you take a look at your entire roster, at some point in time, at some cycle in time, like, every single character, like, in that roster is gonna be useful for, like, the task at hand. And you might be wondering a little bit about the rewards. As of current time in the creator beta, it is polychromes and it is investigation merits. And these ones are, you know, they're worth their weight in gold, literally. I use this one primarily at the logistics to turn them into Dennis. So, like, literally worth their weight in gold. Or should I say, worth their weight in Dennis. So basically 1.4 is bringing us another way to, like, earn polychromes, earn Dennis, etc. And me personally, I really freaking enjoy this mode. I think they've knocked it out of the park. So, to sum it all up, the Deadly Assault is a new permanent game mode coming to the game in the 1.4 update. It is a game mode that incentivizes having, you know, kind of a wide built-out roster, so you're able to, like, be flexible and tackle different challenges. It is gonna work on a rotation, and every rotation is gonna bring with it new enemies, new bosses, new buffs, new challenges, new affixes, new ways to earn performance points. And I'm super freaking excited to see where they take it. It is another way to earn Dennis, polychromes, and investigation merits. As of the creator beta, keep in mind everything you've seen here is on the creator beta, so if anything changes, you can rest assured that I will tell you about it. I'm super excited to see all of you peeps get to try it out and, like, see your opinion of it. I think you'll really like this one. And if you're interested in seeing, like, what else is coming up ahead in the future in Zenless, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because I put out Zenless content every freaking day. Basically. And if you made it this far into the video, you know, a thumbs up really goes a long way for the algorithm, and I would deeply appreciate it. But I'm gonna stop myself from yapping on for far too long, and I'm gonna thank you, dear viewer, for watching. And I hope you're as excited about the 1.4 as I am. Until next time, Hako out.